Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving into a really fascinating 2026 guide from UNFIT. We're going to talk about transforming your gym bag from just being, a visual accessory into a highly strategic behavioral tool. So, if you've ever found yourself skipping a workout simply because your gear was a total mess, well, you are in exactly the right place. Let's dive right in.
I want you to think about this for a second. Your bag is literally the one piece of gear you touch every single session. But let's be real, most of us choose our gym bags exactly the same way we pick out a water bottle, super fast and purely based on how it looks, and then we end up living with the consequences for years. The right bag quietly removes reasons to skip your training, but the wrong one? It silently adds all this friction, day after day, until skipping your workout just becomes your default setting.
So, how do we actually fix this? Well, here is our framework for today. First, we'll cover the gym bag mistake. Second, start with your week. Third, size and separation. Fourth, materials and travel. And finally, we'll look at the UNFIT lineup.
All right, part one, the gym bag mistake, or why we prioritize aesthetics over function.
This is the trap so many of us fall into, right? We buy for what I call the fantasy week. You go out and buy this massive expedition-sized bag for this intense fitness lifestyle you imagine having. But in reality, you're doing a highly practical 45-minute workout at a gym that is maybe 8 minutes down the street. Buying for that fantasy week just leaves you lugging around an unnecessary cavern of empty space.
Moving on to part two, start with your week. This is the real foundation of your choice. Before you even start looking at brands or cool materials or fancy zippers, you need to actively evaluate your own routine. Honestly, ask yourself, what does your normal week actually look like? Do you train before work or after? Are you carrying a laptop around? Do you swim? Do you fly once a month? Because a dedicated commuter's backpack is absolutely terrible for someone who exclusively drives, just like a giant duffel bag is entirely the wrong move for a quick lunch break workout.
And this brings us to the ultimate goal. One bag for your real week without any repacking. Why is repacking so dangerous? Well, because that is exactly when things get forgotten. If you forget your training shoes at 6 a.m. because you had to switch bags in the dark, boom, that instantly turns into a skip session. Having a single bag system literally eliminates the biggest logistical excuse in fitness.
Okay, part three, size and separation. These are your absolute non-negotiables.
Now, remember, bigger is definitely not better here. An oversized duffel just becomes a bottomless pit where your keys completely vanish. To find your perfect fit, you should use the one-bag test. It's simple. First, lay out all your gear from your heaviest normal day. Your full kit, your shoes, toiletries, laptop, the whole shebang. Second, ensure it all fits with just a little bit of spare room. And third, pack absolutely nothing more. Doing this test usually proves that you actually need a medium duffel or a structured backpack, not some giant weekend bag.
Now let's talk about moisture. Most bags out there claim they have wet/dry separation, but they usually just give you a thin little mesh pocket or a basic shoe compartment. Let me be perfectly clear about this. A standard shoe compartment is absolutely not equipped to handle a sweaty kit, a damp towel, or a wet swimsuit. You absolutely need a dedicated, sealed zone that physically isolates that moisture from your clean clothes and, crucially, your expensive laptop.
To make sure you're getting actual usable functionality out of a wet zone, ask yourself these 3 quick questions. 1. Is it genuinely sealed from the main compartment? 2. Is it removable for washing? And 3, is it easy enough that you'll actually use it every single session? Honestly, flimsy mesh or cheap plastic bags just don't work. If you can't pull a partition out to wash it with soap and water, the sweat is going to soak right into the liner. And once that happens, no amount of airing it out is ever going to fix that smell.
Which brings us to part four, materials and travel, looking for bags built for the long haul.
So what actually keeps a gym bag alive through years of being tossed on locker room floors and into car trunks? It really comes down to a strong fabric choice and heavy stitching at the critical stress points, like the handles, the strap anchors, and the zip ends. But honestly, just as importantly, you should check if the maker has a solid repair policy. A handmade bag from a workshop that will gladly fix a zipper in year 4 is significantly cheaper over its lifetime than having to replace frayed, mass-produced bags every 18 months.
And if your life involves a lot of flights, a travel-native bag absolutely needs 3 specific things that most standard gym bags just completely skip. First, it obviously must fit carry-on dimensions. Second, it needs a trolley suitcase strap so it rides securely on your luggage while you're running through the terminal. And third, that dual-purpose wet partition we talked about, it is a lifesaver. On the way there, it holds your training kit. But on the flight home, it acts to quarantine your worn clothes. If a damp t-shirt has ever made your entire suitcase smell like a locker room, you know exactly why this matters so much.
Finally, Part 5, the Yo and Fit lineup. Let's match the bag to your specific life. It's really cool to see how Yo and Fit applies this exact framework to their own lineup. They've been hand-making bags in Dubai since 2010. If you have a gym plus office kind of week, their backpack is amazing. It features a 13-inch laptop section with side access, which is absolutely perfect for breezing through airport security. For training first weeks or short little trips, the original duffel offers incredible capacity. And for lighter days, their tote gives you that essential wet-dry separation without all the extra bulk. But here is the crucial part. Every single one of these bags features that custom-molded, fully removable partition that you can actually wash.
And that brings us right back to the big picture here. Consistency is what actually compounds. Look, your bag is not going to go to the gym and lift the weights for you. We know that. But the right gear actively removes the excuses. It makes starting every single session just a little bit easier, it preserves your daily willpower, and it sets you up for long-term success.
So, for those of you who are really ready to eliminate that daily friction, you can actually book a free 15-minute routine call with a Yo Fit expert right now to figure out your ideal setup based entirely on your schedule. Or you can just use the code YONFIT10 for 10% off any bag over at yonfit.com.
All right, I want to leave you with one final kind of provocative question today. Is your current gym bag actually removing excuses, or is it secretly the reason you keep skipping? Think deeply about where the friction actually lives in your morning routine and make sure your setup is working for you, not against you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it helps you optimize your daily routine, and I'll catch you on the next one.